Good everyone, welcome to this video, and today it's a review on the J5N1 Japanese twin-engine heavy fighter. And to be honest, when I first flew this thing a couple of months back, obviously I didn't do a video on it because I couldn't be bothered. I got bounced by 3 LA9s. Not exactly a great first impressions now, is it? And obviously, I thought, well, if I put it away for a bit, let the spam die out of the Chinese LA9s and stuff like that, I'll just I'll just let it I'll just let it gather dust for a bit and then I'll come back to it. And soon enough, I eventually decided to come back to it a couple of weeks back, and to be honest, I'm glad I did, let's just say. So the J5N1, to put it simply, is an interceptor. However, it doesn't get an air spawn. Now, there's a perfectly good bloody reason for that, and then we're going to go down to the engines for that. Not just the rate of climb, but the engines primarily. So we're starting out with the armament. Obviously, two 30mm Type 5 cannon with 120 rounds, obviously 60 rounds of gun. Personally, the 30mm can hit quite hard. It just depends on your belts. Now, I'm no expert, but I found tracers to be the primary usage. Now, you can put in universal because then you've got practice tracer just to give you a bit of extra help with leading. But the practice round is not great. Let's just say that. Stealth, I got a lot of sparks, so that is not advised. Ground targets, you're a masochist, so it's either universal or tracers from me, personally. But it's down to your preference. If you're new to Japanese 30mm, this is the one you want. Trust me, this does a lot of damage. Now for 20s, I came down to two choices. It was either universal for dealing with more like less ground target sort of map, like let me think, Saipan or something like that. Even though I didn't get that, but still. And I thought if I go with that for those sorts of maps, because there's less ground targets, I still get an armor piercing characteristic, so it can punch through some of the armor of the American planes and stuff like that. But on other maps, I would load armor piercing incendiary primarily, so ground targets. It would still pack enough punch to do the job, and not only that, you'd set a nice few fires, and obviously if the 30mm hit, this is just overkill. Now let's get into the funny part about this plane, which you're going to notice in the replay. Now we've got wing slats on the aircraft, and to be honest, they really don't help this thing's controllability. The controllability is rather poor. It has good elevator authority, but the problem is that it just wobbles. And you'll notice that in this replay, it wobbles. Now, in terms of a dogfight, you'll be lucky to beat most. Well, in fact, you'll be lucky to beat a single engine fighter, to put it simply. It's not very maneuverable at all. But where this thing does excel is in vertical maneuvers, and you're going to see that. Trust me, this thing has the power to match most, if not beat most single engine fighters in the vertical. And there's a good reason for that. These engines are the same one from the Ki 84 series of aircraft. Now, obviously, the Ki 84 has a very powerful engine on its own and climbs very well on its own and can dogfight pretty dang well. But where this thing excels is that it's got two of them. So, yeah, this thing can hold its energy like a god if it wants to. Now, stock, you won't get that well, that feel. It will still be powerful, don't get me wrong, but it's when you get into the rank 4 engine mods is when this thing really starts to pick up energy. Now, in terms of aircraft that you will possibly fight, the most dangerous ones are the P-51H, the Spitfire Mark 24, and the F-7F Tiger Cat. Those things can outturn you, most of the time outclimb you, and can give your energy retention and vertical a run for its money. So I would advise avoiding those aircraft. In terms of engaging bombers, this thing's not really the best for that job. It does have some armor plating in the form of a 20mm plate here. This has actually saved me from some 50 cals in a head-on. And then you've got 70mm of bulletproof glass. One other point to note is that the engines are quite vulnerable to fires, so I wouldn't recommend head-ons unless you do Like, you fire a burst and get out of the way. That's my recommendation. So it took me a couple of games to get used to the aircraft, and I thought, well, this thing's actually pretty good. I mean, the energy retention is really nice, as you're going to see. And even though it's not the best answer at the ball, I don't need to when I've got vertical maneuvers, because this thing can pretty much outpace most of what it sees in the vertical. I found myself in one situation where a Yak 9U was trying to follow me in the vertical, and he just stalled out long before he could get to me, in which I just pulled a vertical maneuver and came straight back down on him. There was nothing he could have done. Now, in real life, from what I've been able to find, this aircraft was capable of carrying a 250 kilogram bomb. However, it seems that Gaijin has skipped on that, and to be honest, you're not missing much from a Japanese 250, so yeah. But the Type 99 Model 2 cannons, they fire really slowly, but that's where you can use this thing to its advantage. The ground, like the capability of staying in the fight, is actually rather surprising. Obviously, once the 30s run out, you've lost half your armament, but the 20s still do enough damage, and obviously that depends on the belts. Stock belts are complete crap on the 20 mils, but even so. So before we jump in, let's have a look at how I got in, or how I got on with this thing. Let me turn off tanks, first of all. I haven't been playing Japanese tanks in ages. You see, this is the problem with looking for Japanese planes. Here we are. 5 deaths, 27 kills, 124 ground targets, 78% win rate. Did have a couple of bad teams, but to be honest, the most crushing defeat we had was where my team got pretty much like 3 kills, where I got 2 of them. I ended up dying, which is why one of my deaths is there. But that is not a bad spade, in my opinion. It's really nice to play, and I have to admit, this thing was probably one of the best twin-engine fighters I've flown in a long time, although the controllability is something to be desired. But this was my second game in the aircraft. And let's just say, I'm very happy that I saved this one, and I gave this thing a second chance. But yeah, let's just say, this plane does have its flaws. Obviously, you can see it starts on the runway, which, to be honest, I think is perfectly fine. It does not need an air spawn with the climb rate this thing has. Even stock, it's actually pretty good. But obviously, your primary teammates are going to be Zeros and A7Ms. And that A5's got a bit of a bug. Why has it got a bomb rack on it? Replays, eh? That tells you just how fucked Gadget's replays are when you give a bomb rack to an A5 which never had them fitted. So, you can only strap on rockets to an A5, so that gives you an idea of how fucked Gaijin's bloody replay system is. But obviously, starting off stock, it's not going to be the world's best climber, but you can see it's doing pretty well. This is my second game in the plane, as I said, and I only had, what was it? It was about a quarter of the 20 mil belts done, or was it the 30s? I think it was the 20s, and I was working on, because I want to get the 20s online. To be honest, the 30 mils seemed to hit pretty hard stock, so I left them until quite late in the spade, to be honest. It was where the 20s came online is when I really needed to, like, get them into active state, shall we say. So I'm climbing up here, and obviously I'm just going to jump us ahead just to get us into the battle, because it is a 20mm, or 20, I nearly said 20mm then, if you heard my tongue then. But this is a nearly 21 minute battle. The longest battle I had was half an hour. And that was because the PEA was basically running the whole time. He didn't do anything for his team. He bombed out exactly one base, whilst his team was completely slaughtered. My team was nagging at me to go and climb to get up to speed, and yeah. But here you can see, I'm barely putting this thing in a dive, and it freaking pulls like a train. I thought, right, I'll go for this PEA. Coming from the side, and there you can see the sparking. The 30mm stock are not guaranteed kills, as you can tell there. I'm just going to put chat on. I don't remember what happens in this battle in terms of chat, but I know there's a good bit of communication going on. As well as a almost team kill by the A5, I believe. Yeah, that P8 is going to crash soon, and I'm going to get the kill for it. But as you saw, there was a couple of puffs of black smoke. You're going to get that even if your ping's high or low, because the 30 mils do spark, and yet they shouldn't. They should blow that thing to pieces. But even so, I'm not that fussed about it, because once I got the 30 mils done and I started engaging at more closer ranges, they were perfectly fine. And there goes P8 for my first kill. It's just gone down into deep. Well, it's actually just kamikaze the base. I mean, that's one way to use it. Coming here on this SU6, and immediately I knew he was going to come for a head-on, so I fire a quick burst and get the hell out of the way. You do not want to get in the guns of an SU6, and those are primarily what you're going to be seeing in terms of ground attackers, other than IL-10s. IL-10s, especially the 46, are probably the more dangerous variants, and second kill, simply due to the 20mm back gunner, which will absolutely rinse you. So that's my second kill of the game, and as you can see, this thing is just maintaining 330 like it's nothing. This is where I started to get a feel for the aircraft, and I was really starting to like this thing. And I had a really good spade of it. We only had a couple of games where it went complete crap. But I even put in chat, at least the second flight of this thing is going better than the first, because obviously, as I said, I got bounced by 3 Chinese LA-9s, which was not nice at all. But obviously, you're going to be seeing those CCCP guys in those Yaks later. The P-47 gets shot down, but the Yak-9T and the Yak-9U, you're going to be seeing them later, especially the Yak-9T. So obviously at this point, I'm deciding what to do, because obviously my team at the moment is, they're doing pretty well. They've managed to kill about half the enemy team, with me included getting 2 kills. And the P-47 has just lost its engine, according to the replay file here. And obviously he's just engaging that zero. I was just watching the zero because I thought he was going to take a head on with a P-47, and that's just suicide. But obviously, is it this point where the team kill almost happens? No, it's not yet. But obviously, this Focke-Wulf 190 has moved in on this SU6. I believe he's already scored a crit on this SU6. Or at least he's going to in a couple of minutes. And obviously, there's a Yak-3P that's coming back to their airfield. And obviously, I'm thinking, okay, well, the 190 is going to probably be engaged by this Yak-3. Well, I didn't know at the time it was a Yak-3P. And I was thinking, okay, could I maybe deal with the Yak first and then help the SU against the SU6? It's at this moment, however, I spot black smoke coming out the Yak-3. What I didn't know at the time was that his engine was basically dead. As you can tell, he's pretty much conked out. His wings are battered and everything else. So I decided, even though he's the more damaged plane, I'll use the excellent energy retention and excellent speed of this aircraft and simply just pull him in like he's nothing. Even if his engine was running, I don't think he'd even be able to keep up with me. So it's at this point where the Focke-Wulf accidentally hits, at least I think accidentally, I actually looked at the replay file myself properly. The Focke-Wulf 190 hits the A6M5, and there's a kill, 30mm straight to the pilot's head. And the Focke-Wulf hits a zero that was going for the Su-6. Now I'm not sure why this occurred, but to be honest, I just let them get on with it. I wasn't that fussed. So that's my third kill of the game. Obviously, I think at this point, okay, team's doing pretty well. There's only 2 Yaks left. I'm going to go for some ground targets, because the Su-6 has just been dealt with by the Focke-Wulf. This is where, obviously, I believe I'm dry of 30mm, or at least I'm very low on it. And this is where the excellent ammo capacity of the 20mm, and obviously the low fire rate of the 20mm, come into their own. There you can see the wobbling. There you can see the wobbling. This caught me by surprise. And I was there like, why is it wobbling? Is there something wrong with the flight model? And it just felt unstable. But to be honest, there goes flap. To be honest, once you get used to it, it's not that bad. Like, you're not meant to be turn fighting in this aircraft anyway. It is not maneuverable at all. I think even some twin-engine bombers would give this thing a hard time in a turn. Obviously, with the stock belts, you do get a single armor-piercing incendiary round, which means I can pop tanks even when stock. So that's always nice. But obviously, I'm making my way and just killing some tanks at this point because, well, the last guys are in a Yak-9U and a Yak-9T. The Yak-9T you're going to be seeing later, and most of my team is at altitude engaging them. However, for the most part, my team's not going to fare too well against them because, well, these Yak-9 pilots, they appear to be flying them a lot, let's just say that. They appear to love their Yak-9s and, well, their Yaks in general. They seem to be a Russian squadron, which means they're going to absolutely bum anything that's going to be bloody Russian, isn't there? Oh dear. That's what I don't get. How can you fly the same shit thousands of times and yet you don't get bored of it? Like, that's why I want to jump in something Japanese, because I haven't spaded anything Japanese in quite a while. And, spoiler alert, I am actually working on another Japanese aircraft. The Ki-84 Otsu. Let's just say the guns are shit when they're stock. They are complete shit. And that's being nice to it. Like, the word shit is quite nice compared to the guns on that thing. The performance is fine. It's a Ki-84. I love the Ki-84. Always have. But, even so. So at this point, the Yak-9T has obviously been damaged and he's making his way back to his airfield. You're going to be seeing this geezer later, let's just say. Obviously, I'm continuing to farm. I'm not climbing up the Yak-9T or the Yak-9U because I think my team's got this at this point. Now, at this point, this N1K should have been climbing up as well. He had much more armor than I did, but he continues to engage ground targets in the N1K. Now, the N1K can easily outperform this aircraft, except for climb. This thing can actually match an N1K in the climb. But due to his endurance in the fight compared to me, because he actually has better endurance than I do, I would have preferred if he would have climbed. The problem is with me climbing is that obviously I'm missing a flap, and this thing is not very maneuverable at all. And obviously with this wobbly flight model, it isn't great. Let's just say that. But I just start clearing up ground targets, and there's the 30 mils going off briefly. It turns out I do have some 30 mil left. But not much. Let's just say that. Like, the 30 mils are they're temperamental when it comes to their... You got to be careful with your trigger pulling. But obviously, with the wobbly flight model taken into account, this thing is actually pretty good. Obviously, you're not going to be able to beat anything in a turn. Guarantee you that. If you beat something in a turn, I want to see it. But yeah, you're not going to be beating much in a turn unless it's a twin-engine bomber. Let's just say that. But as I said, the energy retention, like, if you think this energy retention is good, say that I'm hitting ground targets, yeah, it gets better when it's spaded. But there you can see the practice rounds in the 30 mils aren't even penetrating the rear of the tank. So yeah, it's not great, let's just say. So at this point, I decide to return to base, and I'm sort of glad I did, because the Yak-9T is going to be shortly taking off from his airfield after repairing. And this poor sod in the Yak-9U with his acid operation heat decal. And, well, he's soon going to die, let's just say that. I'll put it to 8 times so you're not watching me fly back to base, because, well, that's the advantage of using replays for, like, reviews and shit like that. Like, you can literally just skip ahead. Like, yeah, I can cut it out in a live recording, but I never do my spade reviews live. Because, well, I just prefer doing it in the replay, so I can describe it a little more. So, he says, well, Hairy Dog says in chat, J5N1 any good then? And I say, it's alright to be honest, climb good, turns reasonable, and firepower's pretty good. Has a weird wobble. And he puts in chat OP. No, this thing is not OP. If anything, it's pretty average in most aspects. But it's not OP. I can tell you that right now. If you think this thing is OP, you've got a problem. In a vertical, yes, it's really powerful. But in terms of normal turn, I couldn't even outturn a Mustang in a dogfight. And Mustangs don't turn that particularly well. Fair enough, at high speed they do, because they're actually quite sharp at high speeds. But it will not be anything unless it's a twin-engine fighter, such as like a P-38 or something. And even then, I think the P-38 would have a fair shot. So obviously at this point, the Yak-9U is, I believe, is actually low on fuel. And the N1K, who's up there engaging him, not Hairy Dog, is low on fuel as well. But luckily for him, the Yak-9U has actually brought him over his airfield, so that's always nice, isn't it? I even put in chat that Yak will probably be on fumes unless he took 30, which is fair enough, because that's a valid assessment. It's at this point, however, the Yak-9T makes an appearance. And obviously, I don't think he's ever seen this aircraft before. And obviously, I don't know the full capabilities of this aircraft. So what I do is I dive towards Hairy Dog. And obviously, an N1K can easily trump a Yak-9T in a dogfight, which is why I wanted him to come and keep a hand. And even though you can see the stock energy retention is still pretty good, fair enough, the Yak's got a dive on me, so he would actually catch me in the long run. But for a stock bird, this thing has got impressive performance. And obviously, spaded, it is a heck of a lot better. There we go, I pull a nice vertical maneuver, and I'm getting ready to come and help the N1K. Because obviously the N1K has taken a bit of damage, and the Yak-9 is currently engaging in a dogfight with him. Now Hairy Dog is requesting me to cover him, so I say, right, come towards me, I can take him. And obviously the Yak-9T spots me at this moment, and he thinks, oh, we shall get him in head on combat. But no, not this thing. And it's at this point where he attempts to, I believe he attempts to follow me in a vertical. Oh no, he doesn't, but you can just see, if that Yak did try to follow me in a vertical, there's nothing he could do. And even though this thing has rather poor controllability compared to its single-engine composition, if the guns hit, well, that happens. Yeah. That's a pretty painful death, I don't know about you, but let's just say I don't think that Yak pilot was very happy. So yeah, I really recommend giving this plane a go if you're going to have a Japanese twin-engine fighter line. It's certainly better than the Key 109, because, well, that thing is a piece of shit, and can only be used for ground pounding, maybe the odd air kill with a high explosive round, but you're going to be lucky to get that. And, well, I'm really happy that this plane was sort of brought in. Obviously, there's apparent rumours that a J5N2 is coming in, so that'd be nice. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys off. I hope you enjoyed today's video on the J5N1. Next Japanese spade review will be the Key 84 Otsu. And I shall see you all on the next one.